Good morning, y'all.
Good morning.
Coffee with the Maries, episode 5. Today we're going to be talking about January 26th. Whoa, I was going to say January 76th. So y'all ignore that. It's still early.
Yeah, I ain't had no coffee yet, so this is coffee with no coffee
Nope.
with the Maries.
I, however, came prepared.
I'm unprepared with water instead of coffee.
So this is Water with the Maries. We're going to be talking about current events from January 26th to February 1st today. However, I wanted to start off with our announcement. If you haven't seen our page, then starting next week, Coffee with the Maries is moved to 8 a.m. So our podcast will be 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. starting next week. So that'll make it a little bit easier for those that are trying to plan your schedule and stuff. Every 12 hours on Saturdays, we're here to chat, y'all.
Mm-hmm. To talk about the ridiculousness.
Right? Oh, that's a show, isn't it? Yeah, that's a show with the creator guy.
As I said, I was like, oh, that's a show.
Right. So, but we weren't talking about the show, so don't copyright our podcast thing,
no,
guys.
it's not talking
okay,
about
YouTube. So we are going to be talking about the current events for approximately the last week. I do have a different podcast background, so y'all can ignore it today. I'm by my back door because I have family in town. We're going to start today with, do y'all know what day it is?
No,
February
I can't
3rd.
Can't keep up with the days.
It is National Missing Persons Day.
Oh.
So, and I don't know about other people, but I'm a big true crime fan, and part of true crime is missing people. So I actually watch a lot of these kinds of episodes and things like that.
I'm a newbie because of you.
Oh, so I'm the one that kind of dragged you into it?
Yeah. You got me to listen to my first podcast, and now I'm addicted.
But that's all it takes. All it takes is one little podcast, and all of a sudden you're addicted to watching all of them. So
yes, but you know what? I think, the other day I was like, something is wrong with me because I'm addicted to listening to podcasts about missing people. Like, why? What is wrong with my brain?
So I am one of those people that understand, because I'll be like, oh man, I really need to decompress. I really need to calm down, and let me throw on some First 48 or some Unsolved Mysteries.
That's
and people will be like,
I'll be like, I'm about to go chill. I need to clear my mind. Need Law and Order. They'll be like, Law and Order? And it'd be SVU too. And I was like, yeah, I need my SVU. Or I'll be watching Cold Case Files.
Yep. I use SVU to go to sleep too, which sounds really creepy to some people, but it works for me.
It works for me too. Yes. I will really calm down and go to my happy place off of some Law and Order.
Right? So we don't have a lot of stuff to go over today, because y'all know that it is 2024, so it is election year, and you know that we do not cover politics. So when we're looking at our missing stories, we try to get things that aren't too much in the mainstream news, but sometimes we run into some things that I think are fun to discuss. Now, I believe it was last week, maybe even the week before. Let me double check. It was last week. So last week we talked about how parents can be guilty of crimes for their child.
Mm-hmm.
So do you, and I don't know, I know that you don't really watch the news.
No, I don't ever watch the news unless I'm walking through the house and somebody else is watching the news, and I'll be like, oh, for real? And then people won't moving. So
the funniest part about that is I know how your house is set up. So that is a very likely scenario to happen in her household. So well, and the reason I asked is because, like, back in, like, I think it was 2021, there was a case where there was a 27-year-old girl. Her name was Courtney. And she was like a creator. She had like She was really big on OnlyFans and Instagram and stuff like that. And she was followed by a lot of people, and she killed her boyfriend.
Mm. Nah.
Um, his name was Christian, prayers for his family. But her story to the police, like, okay, so when it all happened, yeah. Well, see, and this was actually a true crime episode I really liked. So seeing
So the way
information
you just
about her
laugh,
case.
tells me that this is going to be an amazing story. So I should
Well,
have had popcorn, but let me go ahead.
because she lied, and if you get bored later, definitely go into like the true crime side of this because you'll hear the whole story, and you'll be like, oh wow. But more or less, she lied. She told the police that he was coming after her and that he pushed her down, and that when she fell down, she grabbed the closest thing to her that she says was a knife, because we all just have knives laying on our floors all around our houses. But she grabbed the closest thing to her and threw it at him, and that's what killed him. So, because he was killed with a knife, he was stabbed. So then he got to autopsy, and it was performed, and they were like, yeah, so there's no way, based on the angle and the depth of and where this knife went, that she could have like threw this knife to kill him. She stabbed him. And they said something about that she stabbed him when his like lung compression was at a certain point. So it says that he was completely calm, and so they probably weren't even really fighting. So more or less, she killed her boyfriend and tried to get away with it. Now, they did have a very volatile, toxic relationship for years, and there are documentations of multiple CDVs on both sides. So I'm not saying she didn't feel like she was justified. She probably does in her mind somewhere. But you can't just decide to kill somebody and then make up a story.
That part. A ridiculous ass story at that, because
Yes,
like I'm thinking,
yes.
like, if you throw something, like you threw a knife and it magically just landed perfectly in his lung.
And I need to explain this for people that don't know, because I actually have knife throwing knives, and I used to practice a lot, and I've been doing this my whole life. Like when I was a teenager, my parents used to break into my room and steal all of my knives, because I would just collect them from school, from people I knew.
Oh,
And
I
I would
collect knives too.
I would just throw them. So as somebody that is a knife thrower, I know that it is not logically possible to throw a knife in the heat of the moment and just be good enough to just, unless you have been studying knife throwing your entire life, or you're like a trained assassin. You can't just throw a knife and it's going to hit something perfectly. It doesn't work like that. It takes like 4 or 5 tries at the same angle and the same depth and the same anger to do
And the
that.
same
So it's
speed,
not even
everything.
a possible thing. She just made this up. So
completely.
with that, and the only reason they're back in the news is because I was looking at some information about what was going on with that case, and I found out that last week they charged her parents with something. And so I was like, ooh, this is getting juicy.
Okay.
Let me look back into this. So, and what it is
How old was she?
So she was 27.
Oh, okay.
And she wasn't charged. Now, she murdered him on April in 2022, not 2021, 2022. But she wasn't charged until August of 2022.
She would have been better saying they were arguing in the kitchen over grits, and she grabbed
right.
she grabbed the knife because she was chopping up onions or some shit. And everybody keeps onions in their house. You could have just real quick chopped up some onions, and she and I grabbed the knife
But listen, she
and
can't say she chopped up onions and then chop it up afterwards, Sheena, because they gonna know, because he not gonna have no onions in his wound.
Oh, well, you know what? Make up something else. That would have been more believable
So
than that knife
listen,
throwing.
should the time ever come in life that you accidentally murder someone, maybe you should call me before you called a lawyer. Um,
Before
so
you
we
tell them
could
a
talk
story,
right before you make up some stuff that don't make no sense. Um,
this is not plausible.
right, but no, it's fine. Just run with the onions. But either way, so now this whole time, her parents, of course, have stuck behind her, supported her, and said she was innocent. Like, no, he was a toxic boyfriend. He used to hit on her. She was doing this to protect herself, etc. So, and that's why everybody have been kind of back and forth about her case until her parents get arrested. So then I was like, okay, so what were her parents arrested for?
Mhm.
They were arrested for a felony count with unauthorized access to a computer.
What the hell does that mean?
So I was right. So I was like, well, dang. Like, can I get in trouble for owning a computer? So then I dug some more. And come to find out, after she was arrested, she had her parents go get his computer out of their house. And she's been talking to her parents, trying to help them hack into his computer since then. So, number one, there's something on that computer that proves something.
Yeah.
And number two, the police would have never known if she wasn't trying to help her parents hack into the computer through jail phone calls.
You know those calls are recorded.
Well, no, me and you know that because we're logical people, but apparently, clearly, this isn't a publicly known thing.
That the jail
Because
calls are recorded?
I guess not, because she was straight on the phone just telling her parents, no, I'm just hacking into the computer because I need to tell you to do something.
Everybody know those calls? Everybody should know. Okay, so
Well,
if you
Courtney
don't
Shenny don't
know,
know.
this is a public service announcement. If you don't already know, you should know that all calls from the jail are recorded. Unless you're in that little room with your lawyer.
Well, and then I don't even trust that. Like, I would be like, nah, that's being
Right.
recorded too. Like, nah, take me outside the jail.
Like, how did she not? Okay, she's stupid. Never mind. Yeah, she's stupid. I'm not gonna take that back.
um,
She's stupid.
but I just want to say, with that being said, like, I would never do anything to put my mother in this situation because
Mhm.
it's my mother. However,
Her mother was stupid enough to do it.
that's I would like to believe that should I ever be in that big of a situation, that my mom would break into somebody's computer for me too. Like, her parents are ride or die. Like, they're like, nah, our baby's locked up. This might help her. We gonna steal this man's laptop. We gonna break into it, and we gonna delete some evidence so that they can't, incriminate our baby.
And the parents didn't even like a light bulb didn't go off in the head of the parents to tell them, "Girl, shut up."
You know what? That's kind of the sad part, because I think that if I called my mom on the phone from jail and started talking incriminating shit, that she would be like, Amanda, shut up.
Right.
But no, I mean, nothing went off for her, nothing went off for them. They just
See,
went and stole the laptop and tried to break into it for her multiple times.
that's why everybody like listen, I'm not telling you to go out here and do it, but like it comes in handy to have like code between you and your family members. Like even with your significant other. And it's not even to do like illegal criminating shit. Like even though like even if you had like a code word and you're out in public and somebody's trying to run up on you or rob you, like if you have a code word you can signal your partner or something that something is wrong. Just just having code to know. But if
I,
you're
you
gonna
know,
be
I don't.
criminal, you definitely need code if you're gonna be doing
So
criminalized shit.
I have no intentions on being a criminal.
No, me neither.
However,
But I'm just
I
saying enough
also
Law and
feel like
Order
everybody
episodes.
has, yeah, everybody has a limit. You know, what's that song? I ain't a killer, but don't push me. That's the reality of it. I
Mhm.
would never, my intentions would never be to go out to take somebody's life, but let some PEDO put his hands on one of my nieces or nephews, and I might be pushed to that limit.
Oh yeah,
you
I'm not
know?
gonna bother you. You can say or pretty much say anything you want. I'm not gonna bother you. I'm not gonna hurt nobody. But even to me, it's gonna be a limit. Like I'm gonna protect myself in self defense. But when it comes to my child, oh, I'll wear that orange jumper for any day. Because when it comes
Well,
to my
and
child,
luckily, I
all
don't know
bets
about other
off.
people, but luckily I have the kind of friends where should I ever do something really stupid, I feel like they would go out of their way to step in and make sure that I was good and make sure that the things around me were taken care of. Just like you, should you ever do something dumb, the first thing I'm gonna do is show up and clear your browsing history. I'm not slow, you
Hmm.
know. There's certain things you just do as someone's friend when they get themselves into something.
Right.
Um,
You should make friends with somebody who's real techie into that IT security shit. So they'll be like, hey, push come to shove, remote hack into my shit and delete all of this.
you don't even got to remote hack in these days, you know. You can literally send an email link that'll give me access, like give somebody access to your computer whenever they need to. Um, and it'll record what they do or whatever, so you would still know what was going on, but at least they would have the access to do it at any time, you know, especially in the result of an emergency. But that's the thing, like this family, and
But
it throws me
that's
off
the
because they're from
thing.
like Florida.
That's the thing you just said, the main point you just said. Like you have friends set up who already know in the situation what to do, right?
Hmm.
Not someone who don't have no idea what to do. You got to tell them exactly what to do over a recorded jailhouse call. Like,
Right. A recorded jailhouse call.
like I shouldn't have to tell you this. You should
Well, and the
already know.
parents originally denied it.
Lies, more
And
lies,
then they got then
because
they
you
got a
recorded.
warrant and they found the laptop in their house.
And they
And then, you
probably
know,
could
once
tell that they were
I
trying to
was gonna
hack
say
in.
once tech gets into it, they're gonna be able to see how many times they tried to get into it. The dates, the times, the passwords that they tried, all of that. Because I can see all of that on my computer. So I know that, you know, super techie people know how to do it on theirs. I'm just you know, I have a information technology degree. So I just know the basics. It's not like I'm super tech savvy or anything like that. I
Hmm.
build websites, guys. I don't hack security.
Well, yeah, people who work for the police department know how to hack security, so you screwed. They screwed. They just might as well just go ahead and do their time. I'd be like,
Right.
listen, I'm screwed. I ain't even gonna front. Like, just put
I
some money
didn't.
on my books. Just keep some money on
Yeah,
my
well,
books.
ain't nobody left to put money on their books. The kids, the mother, and the father all locked up. They gonna have to figure out how to hack something in there to get some money on the books. Um, but I just wanted to bring it up because I thought it was very interesting how here we are almost 2 years later, and she's still got her parents running around trying to do stuff for her to the point where she's now gotten them in trouble. And she's gotten into trouble. She's put them in a situation where they got a felony. So now imagine how that's affected her parents' work life, etc.
Hmm. Right. So even if they don't do jail time, they still gonna have a felony on their record.
Hmm. So, anyways, um, moving right along, just for time's sake, because I really would love to keep talking about this family.
Dumbness.
For time's sake, layoffs. So I thought this was really interesting. And I always used to look at this data every year, but I hadn't last year. But something told me to this year. And so I actually pulled it up completely separate. But and the only reason this is important to me to even share with everyone is this is a sign that our labor market is deteriorating, which is a
Hmm.
sign of a really bad economical crash. So, a report that was published by the Challenger, and the Challenger is a company that does these reports yearly. Like they've been going, it goes back all the way to 2009. These reports do. So, For the month of January, it was the second highest month going all the way back. Like the second highest January going all the way back to 2009 for layoffs in America. They were all planned. There were 82,307 planned and executed layoffs in the U.S. in January. So that's not including people that got fired because they got busted doing something dumb. That's not including people that were laid off on the spot because of a company shutdown. These were planned and executed layoffs. 82,000 people.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
82,307. And
So
it's
80,
scary.
unemployment people gonna be cussing going into work Monday.
Listen, they're already cussing because it's the unemployment rate, although it jumped up a little bit last year, it's slowly back on a decline, a really bad one. And it's scary. And I kind of know what's happening. So I want you to think about this. In 2020, when all those big companies laid everybody off and sent everybody home to work, what did people do? They made their own businesses. How long does it take the typical business to either thrive or fail?
Like a year, the first, yeah. I'm about to say
Yeah, so
year
the
to
first
3.
year, they don't know if they're going to make it. And then within 3 years, they're either thriving or bankrupt. All of a sudden, 3 years after everyone created their own companies and these own businesses, there are now this many layoffs.
Because everybody
So,
leaving the workforce saying
well, and the
doing their
people
own
that did
thing.
leave the workforce and couldn't make it had to lay themselves off or lay off every employee of their company.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's one of those things where it's like, it's scary. And I know people see it scary because groceries are up, gas is up, rent is up, and layoffs are up.
Mm-hmm. Because they ran out all of that. What's that? The money that they gave out, the PPP loans and stuff.
Did you
All
call them
that money run.
the PIPP loans, the
The
PIP
PP
loans?
to P something loans that everybody was getting. That money probably running thin right about now.
Well, she said the PIPP loans, y'all, the PIP loans, the pizza loans, them fake loans.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. They're starting to come after people for them loans, like hardcore come after people.
Oh, for real? I thought they was gonna brush that shit
Yeah.
underneath the rug.
No, so I know I don't know a bunch of people, but I know of multiple people through the South Carolina area that have now started to get charges for that.
Really? Because they didn't got loans off of made up businesses.
Well, pretty much. And also those same loans because, a lot of them haven't paid anything back on them saying, oh, my company tanked. Well, now the government's coming back saying, cool, show me proof. Show me everything.
What you
and then
what
the
you
people,
did with the money?
And then the people, and this is how I started to kind of find out about the tax stuff is we're going to talk about tax here in just a second too. But, what they're doing last year and this year is people that are filing their taxes that had one of those PPP loans. Now they got the address where you're sending your money to. So how do you think they're getting your address to come arrest you guys? You're putting it on your IRS when you want your taxes back. They're taking it out of people's taxes. They're seeing if they file that business on their taxes. That's how they're catching people, because these same people that took out these loans are then turning around filing taxes saying they don't have their own business. Well, you told the government you had your own business. We gave you 25 grand for that business. Why aren't you filing that business on your taxes?
Why aren't you filing the use of the money on your taxes?
Right.
See, audit.
See, and that's yep. And that's, people don't realize that stuff's serious, man. And yeah, you might, it's just a blue collar crime. I'm gonna just sit in jail for a couple of days. No, you're not. You're gonna be sitting in jail with murderers.
Yeah, that's federal
and
money
people that
you
don't
messing
care.
with.
So be careful what y'all do. But taxes, man, I had to look up taxes because I got myself in a bit of a wormhole last week because I watched a TikTok video where this lady said that she had been working the same job for the last 5 years, always claimed the same thing, always brought in the same money, always got back right around the same amount every year, which was $700 something. And number one, if you're working in the same job for 5 years and y'all never got a raise, y'all need to quit that job. But
Right.
anyways, not my business. Not my business.
It's
Maybe
time
she
to
don't care about
go.
a
Did
raise.
you need to
Um,
look into that? Did you captain that position? Is that position maxed out itself? You need to you know, go to a different position. It's time to what you call it? Promote yourself to something different. The fuck? Anyway, go
um,
ahead.
but when she said that, she then went on to say that every year she's got about $740 back. You know, a little more, a little less, but right around that amount. And this year, when she filed, she owed a little over $500. And so I started to get nervous. I'm not going to lie, because I work really hard all year. And I like that little bit. And I don't get a lot back, y'all. I don't have dependents. I don't own a bunch of properties or nothing like that. I don't get a bunch back or nothing. But I like that little bit of, my little bit of chunk change I get in the middle of every year that's not expected, that I can actually use for something nice instead of bills. So I was like, dang, man, I'm getting nervous. I even told my mom last week I was nervous. And she's the one that was
Yeah.
like, I think you need to look more into that. And I did. And now there are a couple of bills that were passed back in 2017 that expired last year. And there is talk that they're going to try to reinstate those bills for this year's taxes still. And they're telling people, if you want to wait for that, you can go ahead and wait for it, or, you would get it back afterwards, etc. But I figured out what's going on. Yes, she has always made the same amount, but they changed the tax bracket thing. So, and this is me talking from a standpoint of, clearly I'm not a tax preparer.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all might want to talk a little bit more to Sheena, because I'm like, they changed the tax bracket thing. And by tax bracket thing, I mean, they changed like how much money is taxed per category. So all the way up to 40,000 is taxed at this percent, 40,000 to 65,000 is taxed at this percent. If she was right there on the cusp of one of those two and that changed, she didn't pay in enough taxes this year.
Mm-mm.
And that's why all of a sudden she has to pay in, because that bracket changed and she didn't pay attention to it, even though it was released last year. She didn't pay attention to what that was going to be, so she didn't pay in the proper amount. So there's also a couple of other little things that I want to make sure that y'all know for tax time, just for those that are prepared or pay attention to our show. If you're on Social Security, you are going to have a higher tax this year. So don't expect back, if you're on Social Security and you're one of those people that do file into taxes, do not expect back the same amount that you've gotten in the past, because you are in a different bracket this year. And then people like homeowners, they're going to get back a bigger tax credit this year. Low income families with children will get it back a better amount this year. And the earned income credit this year went to $7,430. Last year it was $6,935. So that's gone up a little bit too for your earned income credit, for those people that use the earned income credit and don't do itemized statements.
That's
so
good.
But with those new tax brackets, also they are cracking down and I was going to say that word wrong. It's not necessarily a penalty. Man, I can't talk this morning. Penalty. It's not necessarily a penalty, but they are cracking down, and there are a little bit higher taxes on people that did side gigs that didn't pay in as they were supposed to this year or last year. So that's your DoorDashers, your Ubers, your Spark, all those kinds of people that didn't pay in the way that they were supposed to throughout the year will have a little bit higher tax cutoff on their taxes this year. So I don't know as much about taxes as Miss Sheena does. Do you have anything to add to this? Is there anything else we should watch for this year?
That sounds about right. Like I haven't went down that wormhole yet. I've been avoiding taxes this year. Especially because I took that service away last year from my platform. And I've been avoiding my own taxes because I don't want to go through the receipts. But
Same,
but
same.
yeah, that just sounds about right. You're on the right track. All of that sounds right.
Yeah, I
That
didn't
tax bracket
realize.
did mess up a lot of people, and and that's another reason why I'm just not intrigued into filing taxes. I really don't. I'm not really interested in taxes no more. But back in my 20s, shoot, it was tax time. You got that tax refund, especially when you got your kids. My son got that big tax. You look forward to it because that's when you're gonna go buy a car or go get some clothes. It's like you plan to do your big purchases with that money. But
And then you
now,
grow up and you realize
yeah.
that tax time for parents is actually catching up on all the bills they're behind on.
Yeah. And but when you get into another tax bracket and you have to start paying in, or when you do have legitimized businesses, you don't want to be fooling with taxes. Taxes become
No.
unfun.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's not only are they unfun, but you also don't want to mess up. Because it's one thing if you mess up, if you're one of those people where you just have that, little amount that you pay in, you have no home, you have no business, you have no kids, you just have a regular W-2, you've worked the same job. If you turn that in and you mess up a little bit, the IRS is just going to send you a nice letter and they're going to be like, hey, you messed up a little bit. You owe us $500. You can make payments on it over the next 6 years.
Mhm.
Not really 6 years, but they give you a lot of time to make payments on stuff like that. If you own a business and you mess up on your taxes, they give you 30 days to pay or to set up the payment arrangement, or they penalize you and shut your company down. So when you start to get like to an area where you're running your own businesses and things like that, and also when you hit those higher tax brackets, I hit that high tax bracket and I actually remember this. I was like 28 years old. I was in my first like upper management position, and I filed my taxes that year, and I was like, I'm gonna use these taxes this year and I'm gonna take myself on a nice vacation. And I was so excited. I had everything planned out in my head. I went and filed my taxes. That lady said, you getting $17 back. Who? I was like, no, ma'am, I get about 2 to 3 grand back a year. And she was like, oh, well, now you in a new tax bracket. So you didn't pay in
Mhm.
enough and you get $17 this year.
Go take
So
yourself to McDonald's.
needless to say, my trip to the Dollar Tree was a wonderful vacation because that's what I feel. Yeah. Um, all right. So the last thing that we had on the agenda today is just a quick little giggle because it made. Now, first off, if you know me, you know I'm a pizza fanatic. I am.
Yeah.
It's the
I want
one
some pizza
food.
right now at 7 o'clock this
Listen.
morning.
I tell everybody I'm a Ninja Turtle at heart. I don't know what it is. Pizza's my favoriteest thing in the world.
Mhm.
But there was a Pizza Hut in Canada, and I have to not laugh through the story. There's a Pizza Hut in Canada, and they had to shut down their store.
Why?
There was something going on, and it had something to do with the electricity, so they needed to shut down the store for the rest of the evening. And they could still make pizzas in the back, but like their dining room area wasn't working
Oh,
properly.
so they was on Mooch delivery only.
Right. So, and no big deal. They still were able to make money. However, they had somebody put a sign on the door, and I guess nobody second read the sign before they put it up. The sign said, due
Proofreading is
to, listen, proofreading is so important, guys, because, okay, due to unforeseen circumcisions, the dining room will be closed this evening.
people gonna be like, "What the
What
hell
are
y'all
they
doing in that
doing in
dining
there?
room?" I don't want no pizza. Let's go to Papa John's. I would have been
Right.
like, listen, let's go to Papa John's because this, I don't know what's going on with
Well, and
Pizza
it
Hut.
almost sounds concerning, like an unforeseen circumcision. Like you didn't even know you were going to do this before you came in here today.
I was
Like
like,
y'all
is
just
that
did that.
happen? Did that circumcise an employee or a customer? Like,
Was it the owner? Did the owner have an unforeseen circumcision?
what's this
Uh,
circumcision got to do with my pizza?
right. Do y'all still got the ovens going, or y'all let me set up a delivery? Can you deliver it to the front door?
Yeah, I just want a pizza, not a circumcision.
Right. Yeah, let me get a large pepperoni and circumcision, please. You're so silly. And this is why we have to push our podcast back an hour, guys, because me and Sheeta are barely functioning by 7 a.m.
It's too early. It's way too early. And it's at least, hopefully by 8 a.m. I can have my coffee because at 7 it's not working.
Ah, and then with stories like this, like, I'm over here crying at 7 a.m. My dog's
Right.
looking at me like, why is she sad?
Listen, as soon as I hang up on the podcast, I'm going to find me some pizza at 7 a.m. Somebody going to sell me a slice of pizza.
Call Pizza Hut. They got it. It's right next to the circumcisions.
Can I get an uncircumcised pizza?
Right. I don't want to upset the Canadian residents or anything, but I prefer my pizza not to have been circumcised.
I don't know. Do you want a circumcised pizza or uncircumcised pizza? And what does the uncircumcised pizza look like? Does it got extra dough?
I'm also for it. That's what a calzone is.
Or are we talking about extra dough or extra toppings? Like, what's that? Or extra sauce? Like something that's extra. Like, what is going on here?
I think it's the dough. I think you're right. I think it's like a calzone, like a
Oh,
fold over pizza.
okay. Now I definitely need coffee. Whew, that's funny.
So, y'all, with that being said, we always give y'all a wormhole to dig on your own with. And if you want to dig today, I want you to dig into what's going on in Texas. I don't want to talk about it on here. I don't do politics. But there are serious concerns for both sides of that, and I can see both. So if you want to dig today, you can go dig around the Texas border situation and look at all
Okay.
parties. Because I don't have the heart or energy to continue to dig. So you have to dig for me. Because that stuff hurts my feelings, y'all.
Yeah.
And then tonight we are live at 8 p.m. with my Stable Mind sponsored PTSD episode.
Yeah.
So if y'all have anything questions wise or anything, we'll see y'all there tonight. If not, we will see you here next week at 8 a.m. for less silly and more news. Maybe. It depends.
Maybe.
Depends on how
I was
much
about to
coffee
say
we
maybe.
have.
Maybe.
And
You
we
know
will
I'm going to
go
find the
from there.
silly in it. Like, if it ain't
Well,
silly,
you
I'm going to
got
find the
to,
silly.
because news is boring if all you do is to. If we just delivered the news to you like this every Saturday morning, you would not watch our podcast.
No.
You would be like, well, those weirdos.
We're not delivering the news like, the news people at 5. Live at 5. We have stories. No, we're going to be like, this the bullshit.
Because we're going to tell you the truth. We're not going to sugarcoat it for you. We're not going to sit around and tell you, hey, this is okay. Like,
And we're
I'm
going to tell
not
you
going
our
to tell you.
opinions.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm not going to tell you that I agree with how many layoffs are going on. But the news is going to say, oh, man, this is an economic crisis. We're all going to be broke tomorrow. No, we're not. But be smart with what you do, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not.
Yeah,
Let's everybody
be
just
aware.
chill out and stop. If you're going to panic this much, we will call the Canadian Pizza Hut and they will reach out to you. Because
Right.
they can help you with a circumcision. Maybe that'll release some stress or pressure for you. And you could do it like that. Like, I don't know what you want me to say, but there is no reason why news should ever be taken as seriously as it is. However it is. So use your wormhole today. Go dig and play and have fun all day. And we'll see all of you tonight at 8.
Right. And next week with some more non-serious news.
Right. That's what we got to do. Bye, y'all.
Bye.